Kevin Stefanski is once again giving up play calling.
Didn't we do this last season, Eric?
Yeah, it's like a toxic relationship. He gives it up, he misses it, he takes it back, he ruins everything, and then he promises he's changed. But he hasn't changed because we live in this round and round we go cycle of insanity. Uh, Come next year, when clearly he's not going to be fired, we're probably going to go through the same thing. But the news is right now, Tommy Rees will be calling plays on Sunday. What that means for the Browns and the stagnant offense, I'm not sure. It's anybody's guess at this point, but maybe a step in the right direction, Noah.
Maybe it is. I don't know. We saw it be a potential step in the right direction last year when Jerry Judy honestly started to spark underneath Jameis Winston. I can pull those stats up here in a second, but there was some positive, I guess, when we went to Ken Dorsey. I mean, the record didn't show it, but we did have a couple good. The Steelers game comes to mind because I was there. I mean, you talk about Jerry Judy with Stefanski. 14 games played, 42 receptions, 523 yards and a touchdown. With Dorsey as the play caller, 10 games played, 69 receptions, 963 yards and 3 touchdowns. So there was a significant margin of Jerry Judy just doing much better with not Kevin Stefanski calling the plays, but your guess is as good as mine at this point because this offense has been so stagnant and has been so stale. Is a play calling change really going to fix that?
No, it's not. I think it's time to look in the mirror and realize that it's not the plays, it's the philosophy here. This is what, year 5? We've had different quarterbacks, we've had different coordinators, different skill players, and yet somehow it always looks the same: stale, predictable, afraid. That's the offense we've come to expect. Whether or not that's because of Kevin Stefanski, no, 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 no. I'll stop there. I'll stop myself there because it is because of Kevin Stefanski. He is the leader at the end of the day, and that's what we've come to expect from this team. He says that he's going to give up play calling to focus on managing the game, but they need a leader, not a manager. And I don't see how this is going to make a difference at this point, because he can't decide what he wants to be. Is he play caller? Is he offensive genius? Is he leader, coach, etc.? He's not the CEO though. Like he is afraid to delegate. He wants all that control, and it's clearly not working.
Yeah, I mean, 2 times, 2 years, we're doing the same thing. It feels like we're moving forward in this progression of, is Kevin gonna be shown the door? Is this the next step? That was a question that came to my mind. Do you think that this was actually a Kevin decision or, Jimmy sat him down, tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Buddy, I think it's time to try something different."
I'll say this about that. It did pop into my mind, but to answer your question directly, I don't think Jimmy Haslam has any contact with Kevin Stefanski for the most part. I think if Haslam's saying he's done calling plays, that's being routed through Andrew Barry, and Barry's letting him know. I think there's a degree of separation there, as I think there should be. This is still Barry's team, in my opinion, meaning I think he's on side with ownership, and the odd man out here is Kevin Stefanski. You see it a little bit, like it seems like there's a rift opening. I think Stefanski honestly is done at the end of the season. I think it's a matter of time. I think he knows that. What he's doing at this point, I'm not sure. But if it means that we're not getting a screen on 3rd and 12 from here on out, I guess I'm all for it.
Yeah, and I think it's funny because I brought up that theory because we don't truly know. We're just trying to observe because they don't tell us anything anyway. But I brought up the theory of Shador being Andrew Barry's guy and Kevin Stefanski's guy being Dylan Gabriel, and we're starting to see this rift. And I've seen that continue on in the internet, and other people have that same take and that same thought process now of this rift opening up in Berea with the Cleveland Browns. That maybe there's some credence to it. I don't know. I don't know. And maybe you're right. Maybe Jimmy wasn't the one that said it to him, but more so, I was just curious if you thought this was a Kevin Stefanski decision or not. I don't think it was. I think he was getting some mandated orders of, it's time for you to try some different things, even though you think you're this offensive genius at this point.
Maybe, or maybe he looked down at his playbook, which at this point I think is just a stack of sticky notes that says run up the middle and pray for the best, and realized like I'm out of ideas. I have nothing left. Can he set his ego aside and do that? I don't know. But like you said, this is the second time we've seen this. So the first time it didn't work, you calling plays wasn't a good idea. You handed it over. Now you went back. Like, I'm just confused on the progression here of anybody in this organization who thinks that any of these decisions are a good idea. Like, this franchise is so lost right now. It's heartbreaking, honestly.
I mean, they are lost in a lot of ways, and the Deshaun Watson trade is the thing that does that for sure. Unfortunately, it blew up in our face. We all know it. But there's still, for me, and maybe this is me just trying to be optimistic, there is some good inklings going on with this. You're saying it without wanting to say it when you talk about Andrew Barry's potentially being in lockstep with the ownership, that draft class that we had this year, and whatnot. So I think there's still a path to success with this team with some of these pieces in order. What that looks like, that's not my job. I'm not on payroll for that, but I think it's there. It's there somewhere. And that's not me just being hopeful. I think you can see it when you look at guys like Swessinger, when you look at guys like Quinshon, when you look at guys like, I'll say Wyatt Teller, even though today's trade deadline, and by the time this video goes out, he might not be on the Browns, but he was talking highly about Cleveland and the culture and, being and retiring a Cleveland Brown. There's a lot of good things still going on here. It's about righting the ship and adding more pieces.
But so did Odell, so did Jarvis. Like, we've heard this. So did Baker when he was here, for crying out loud. And that's my point. It doesn't matter the players we collect at this point because the organization is in such chaos that it gets in the way. We talk about like top down leadership. I think it's so crucial because at this point, like, I don't know if we can win with this ownership group. And I'm not quite there yet because maybe the Haslams can just put the money up and shut up long enough to turn things around. But we've seen what like inner or meddling ownership does. We've seen it in Dallas. It's not a recipe for good things to come. So, yeah, I'm a little negative, but that's because I've seen this and it doesn't play out that well.
Yeah, I could make the counter argument that like Haslam's not making some of these bad play designs come up, like Isaiah Bond blocking, or why we're targeting Isaiah Bond way more than we're targeting Jerry Judy, who is very obviously the best player in terms of receiver in that receiving room, not tight
But
ends,
he's
receivers.
kept the guy making those decisions at the helm to make those decisions.
And that's the counterpoint too. I'm seeing both sides of this where I don't blame Jimmy in terms of meddling because the only thing it seems like he's done as of late is try to spend money. But I also am not going to side with Jimmy because he employed Deshaun Watson and he has been the owner through,
Johnny
a
Manziel, he's
right,
made plenty of
100%.
those decisions, yeah.
100%, 100%. And then you're curious if the same thing happened with Shador now. And even though you and I are on Team Shador for this whole situation, we're not Team Dylan Gabriel since we have to take sides, apparently. Um, that still scares me if that's the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Like there's that's you're exactly right. That's what we're betting on is some untested kid because that's the only hope we have left. And yeah, to go back to your previous point, like I think this was an excellent draft. I think Schwessinger will go down as one of the steals maybe in the draft. Like he's so good, like so good. Um, but the body of work is more important at that point. We keep saying that we're X piece away or this or that. Like guys like Miles Garrett, there's an end to their like
Yeah.
he's in his
No,
prime and he's
100%.
exiting it quickly. Um, he's still a beast. He's still one of the best players in the NFL, but I mean, he needs things to turn around immediately if he wants to win something with the Browns. And the likelihood of that happening, I don't know. I guess you're one good quarterback away,
You
but we
always
just
are.
seem like we're so far away.
I don't know if I feel that way 100%. I think there's plenty of holes in this offense. We've talked about them in detail at this point on the show, but you said it best yourself. You are one good quarterback away. And I know that's a lottery ticket that we haven't scratched successfully since 1999, but that's the truth of it. That's what's staring at us
But
between
it's
playoffs and
not,
not.
because the last 5 quarterbacks to win the Super Bowl, not named, uh, Patrick Mahomes, can you even name them? Like, I can't.
Jalen Hurts,
Hurts,
uh,
yeah, that's the
Matt
obvious one.
Stafford. It's
Okay.
probably still Brady at that point too, but
You're right. No, okay, not named Brady, or yeah, you get my point. You're almost going
right.
back to Joe Flacco with his Ravens Super Bowl. My point is, like, it is really hard to win in this league. As much as we claim that there's parity, and there is, it's any given Sunday. Yes, there is, but you need an elite quarterback. And once again, like the Chiefs last year is a perfect example. I know they didn't win the Super Bowl. Obviously, Philly did, but they started off terrible, just kind of like they did this year. And then they were still in the Super Bowl because they have arguably the best player in the NFL and they know how to win. That's what we're facing. So to say we're one quarterback away, sure, maybe if somehow we got, Josh Allen to agree to go to the Browns, but to expect a rookie, I just don't know. Like, I don't see that, you know?
You I mean, it's a gamble just like it is for any other team in the NFL. I get your curmudgeon and your depressedness and your poo-poo on the Browns. I'm down on them right now, so I don't see it happening for us, and they should move the team and all of that.
I want to be clear. I was pretty positive to start this season. I was more positive than the Cleveland homer that's sitting across from me. And look what it's gotten me. My positivity has dwindled. I'm back to being
Well,
a
I could have
realist.
told you that you would have been this upset by bye week if you wanted to get that for free on the air. Like I could have done that for you.
Yeah, but I mean, we look lost. Maybe not as lost as Miami, but we look lost. I don't know. We'll see. They have a lot of good picks. That's a good thing, obviously. Later this week, we're going to be talking which quarterback the Browns should be looking at if they're going to draft one next year, and the available options there. But yeah, I mean, I think we need a whole overhaul of this receiver core. I think we need a decent overhaul of this O line. We need a quarterback. By the way, we're going to start losing pieces. I think it's likely that we're going to trade David Njoku, and we might have his replacement in Fannin, granted, but like, you know what I mean? Like, nothing happens in a vacuum. We keep saying we're a piece away, we're several pieces away. Well, there's other moving parts during this as well. So, yeah, I'm not very positive.
So you mentioned that too, the Njoku thing, and this will be a nice precursor for Wednesday's video. So tomorrow's video, at the time of this coming out, we're of course going to be reacting to what the Browns do or don't do, or kind of do at the trade deadline. But they were mentioned by Ian Rappaport as buyers. So we'll see if they buy anything at the deadline. But that is for tomorrow's video. Real quick before we take this thing home, I do want to turn our attention to the guy that's actually calling the plays, because we just went on our typical the Browns make us sad rant. But Tommy Rees was a guy that had a decent amount of hype coming into his first offensive coordinator role because of his background of being Alabama's OC and doing it at Notre Dame and whatnot. You were excited in some ways. I was excited in some ways. It's been, a toss up because he hasn't called the plays. So we don't really know what he's made of. What do you think Tommy Rees's step in and involvement to this offense is going to do, if anything?
I mean, he's a young, creative play caller. I think that's why we hired him in that role, why we gave him a shot at what is a pretty large job in the NFL, let's be honest. To make that jump from college football to the NFL, that doesn't always go as smoothly as you would like. What I'm hoping to see is exactly that, creativity, not. I mean, we've talked about it. We've broken down film where the play calling has just been atrocious. I hope, though, that he's given enough of a leash, so to speak, to actually make those play calls and those decisions and can't be overridden. Like, normally he's the guy in the quarterback's ear. I hope that's the case. He's making that call, and that's it. Kevin should be saying if we're going for it on 4th and 1 at X field position, but that's it. He should not be calling plays. So we'll see if he can let go of that. If that's the case, we might see a spark. But you got to remember, Dylan Gabriel is still under center for this Cleveland Browns team. You got to remember this receiver core that has not looked great so far to this point of the year. And it's not all them, but they've not looked great. They have not wowed. They're still going to be the ones catching passes. So there's a lot outside of his control, but hopefully we see steps in the right direction. What do you think?
Yeah, I hoping there's steps in the right direction too. I used the Jerry Judy example at the top of the episode as a potential sign of what's to come, but you never know. I mean, he is underexperienced in terms of like he's not like a 20-year NFL vet. He was our tight ends coach last year, our OC this year, and then he was at Notre Dame, Alabama, and then some GA, regular assistant jobs before that. I mean, he doesn't have like the NFL experience for that, but maybe, just maybe, especially because you're talking about a lot of younger receivers in the room right now, and you're talking about young quarterbacks, whether it be Dylan Gabriel or Shador Sanders, maybe bring in a little college flair to the offense is what this offense needs to spark, aside from just our typical Kevin Stefanski boring conservative play calling. And I agree with you 100% too. I hope that he gets full go in terms of being able to do this thing. And it's not Kevin Stefanski in his ear, like, no, we're running inside zone on 3rd and 12, and you're going to like it.
Yeah, listen, I would say to Tommy Rees though, call it like your job's on the line because it is. Because if we end up cleaning house, your job's not necessarily secure either, especially as a new head coach comes in and will want to install his own people. Um, so I would call it like your job's on the line, regardless of what Kevin Stefanski wants you to do. And I know that sounds crazy, but I don't think Kevin's going to be here at the end of the year. You can go out and impress, and you could potentially be interviewing for your future jobs in these next few games and calling plays. Um, Again, though, like I'm hoping that he'll be able to speak somewhat to at least. I know we're not confident in Dylan Gabriel, but what I was never confident in more than anything is Kevin calling plays to the personnel he has. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
He could put a first drive together, but he's terrible at adjusting and he's terrible at calling plays based on his personnel, and he just does what he wants to do. Tommy Rees might be better in that regard, so we might see something better out of these players than we were seeing.
Like targeting Jerry Judy more, like not using Isaiah Bond in all the weird ways that we were using Isaiah Bond this season, like getting David Njoku the ball more because while if he is on this roster by the end of the trade deadline, he is still a Pro Bowl tight end that has made Pro Bowls before, and you should be getting him the football. You know what I mean?
For
Regardless if you
sure.
think he's taken a step back or whatnot. They still get Travis Kelsey the football in Kansas City. I see it on all the primetime games that we're not good enough to be on all the damn time. I got to ask you one last thing about Tommy Rees because it was titled a full circle moment when he was named our offensive coordinator because he was a ball boy for the Cleveland Browns back in the day. Do these stories still even do anything for you anymore? Or are you just over them because we've seen so many of these feel good? They were a Browns fan growing up stories and now they're here.
Yeah, no, I don't care whether or not he was a fan or not. I like it in the sense that, like, I think it's cool that a ball boy has gone on to become the OC of a major sports franchise, and an NFL team, regardless of how hapless we are. That's a huge accomplishment, and props to him for working his tail off. I think that's cool. As far as fandom goes, I don't care at all. You could have been a full blown Michigan Pittsburgh Steeler fan growing up, as long as you're gonna come in and coach well, I truly don't care, but, it's cool for him for sure.
Yeah, I want to leave you with one last thing before we get into our announcements and wrap this up. And that is the fact that Tommy Rees was the guy that was able to get the absolute most out of Jalen Milrow. Is that a sign of things to come?
We
Maybe,
shall
maybe not.
see. Unfortunately, the other side has things to say as well, and when you're playing behind Alabama's O-line, it could make me look good.
That's very true. That's very true. But bye week's over. Eric, you want to tell them what we got going on the next couple weeks?
Yeah, as negative as I've been here today, I am really excited because we're back live again. We had to cancel one of our lives because it was just pouring down rain and we were supposed to be in Muni. But this Sunday we'll be at High and Dry. It's a great bar. And pun intended, will be dry, thankfully. So come on out. We'll be there around 11, but we're going to go live at 12 and we'll watch the game there. So hang out, have a drink with us, maybe play a little duck pin bowling with us. And then following that, we'll be at Muni Lot. That's a later game. That's that 4:25 game.
Yeah.
So we'll be going live at 2 o'clock. We'll probably be there around 12 to 1, something like that. Again, come hang out, look for that at the office flag flying high in Muni Lot. And you should stop by and you should talk to us and you should follow us because we're giving something away.
And with our live shows, of course, we are doing a giveaway because it's incentive for you guys to come up, talk, give us your takes. We are giving away any Browns or Cavs jersey of your choice. You name the player, you name the design, and we will ship it to your door. All you got to do is subscribe and leave a comment to At the Office here on YouTube. Winner will be chosen November 17th.
The debate never ends, but the show does for now. We'll see you next time.